Good evening, class. How are you? Today we're going to discuss dysfunctional family and the effects on the children. Dysfunctional family and the effects on the children. And we are hoping that in this model, we will try to define and draw a line of distinction between functional and dysfunctional families. And also, we try to identify the characteristics of children in dysfunctional families. And hopefully, we will also identify steps to take to help dysfunctional families to make changes. That is, to make the families functional. But before we go on, I think it will be prudent for us to define what a dysfunctional family is. That is, trying to achieve our learning objective 1. And according to medical dictionary, they look at dysfunctionality and functionality on certain grounds. That is, they consider the internal factors and the external factors that brings about dysfunctionality. And we are looking at when there are sibling rivalries, we consider it to be internal factor that bring dysfunctionality. And when there is also parent-child conflict, it also brings dysfunctionality. And when there is domestic violence, it also brings dysfunctionality. And mental illness as well as single parenthood. These are the internal factors that bring about dysfunctionality. And there is also the external factors, like when there is alcohol abuse in the family or drug abuse in the family. It is an external factor, but it affects the family image and it affects the family cohesion. And when there is also extramarital affairs, that is either of the parents indulging in extramarital affairs, it also affects the family and it brings a level of dysfunctionality. And when there is also gambling, it can also lead to dysfunctionality. And even unemployment, because the finances in the home is not sufficient, this can also bring about a level of dysfunctionality. And I want us to look at this clip, which is telling us the 5 signs of a family that is in a toxic state or there is dysfunctionality. 5 signs. Let us watch this clip. Very good. Now I want us to interact with the video or the clip that we watched. He's talking about 5 signs of toxic family. Can any of you tell us any of the signs? Yes.
I saw from the video that in a family where children are not given right or their own freedom to operate, they always think into the future as to when they grow, they want to enjoy that future when they grow and also have that liberty to operate. And when it happens like that, then it means that the family is poisoned.
So when the child is looking into the future, and even in the video, he was even at the age 30, but he's still thinking, when I grow. All right. Were you able to observe any other sign? Yes.
And again, I see from that, when I grow up, it's like you are suffering from what we call indecision. You always think,
okay,
let me put this thing down and another time I'll take the decision for myself. Thinking that you are young, thinking that you have the ability to undertake any action. But really, you may have it. It's also a sign of toxic in your system.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much. I believe this observation is enhancing our definition of what a dysfunctional family is. And by this, you are able to distinguish between a functional family and a dysfunctional family. Now, let's look at the causes of dysfunctional family. The causes of dysfunctional family. One of the causes when we are looking at dysfunctional family that we consider the family history. The family history of dysfunction. People tend to learn their parenting styles from their parents or other caregivers. So how the people in the family are brought up has reference to, or the dysfunctionality of the family is in reference to how they were brought up in the past. If the parents were abusive, they are likely to grow to become abusive children. So the family history is very, very important when we are looking at functional and dysfunctional family. And also medical problems. Medical problems, physical illness in itself doesn't cause family dysfunction. However, it can make life much harder for everyone concerned. Take, for instance, there is a member in the family who is suffering from a chronic disease. It is going to drain the family on their financial resources. And then time, who is going to take care of this member who is not well? He is going to be affected all the time. That is, the members of the family is going to spend some time, and it will cause a level of destabilization. And the family can be seen as dysfunctional. And also when there is mental illness. We're saying that biology plays a major role in many mental illness, but the behavior problems that are usually part of psychological problems make family life much more challenging. Then another thing that we can think of is when there is addictions in the family. Either drug addiction, alcohol addiction, or even food addiction can bring about a level of dysfunctionality in the family. Then life situations. Life situation is also a major cause. It's hard to have a life that doesn't include some stresses. Every life has a level of stress, and there are good stresses and bad stresses. And we're saying that psychologists know that a certain amount of stress can be healthy, pushing you to keep reaching for greater things in your life. But when the stress goes beyond limit, it can also bring a level of challenges, life challenges, and family members are not able to cope and do what they are supposed to do. Now let's look at the characteristics of dysfunctional family. One that we can think of is poor communication. When the family is not functional, communication becomes affected. In other words, a functional family has effective level of communication. And when we talk of communication, we cannot do away with respect for one another. In the family, we want to discuss an issue. I want to talk to you in the family. To what extent do I respect you? And do I issue command or we dialogue? And when I am passing a word, do you have attention for me? And when you are also passing a word, do I have attention for you? That is what we call active listening. When there is a level of active listening, communication becomes effective. But look at a family where the parents are drug addicts and there is no respect for the children. And when there is a communication, it is just question and answer type of communication. It is not effective. The family are not cohesive because communication is not effective. Another characteristic that drug or alcohol abuse. When you take in drug, when you abuse alcohol, it will definitely destabilize the actual functionality of your whole being. And it is going to affect the family system, the life in the family, and it will affect the children thereof. So we are saying that when drug or alcohol abuse exists in a family, family rules, roles, and relationships are established and organized around the alcohol and all other substances in that effort. Then perfectionism, when we are looking up that everything that we do must be perfect. If you remember the video on the Judgment Day, what I'm doing in this family, there is a standard set, and I'm being expected to reach that level. And if I'm not able to do that, it brings a level of timidity. And when I'm that timid and shy, I cannot express myself in the family. And we are in the family, but we are not able to make any meaningful achievement. And that type of family, we can say that it is dysfunctional. And also when there is lack of empathy, the members of the family, how do we feel for one another? Are we like living in our own shelf? That is compartmentalization. Or we open ourselves to each other and feel for one another. When there is no such good rapport in the family, thinking about each other, trying to put ourselves in the shoes of the other, we are not enhancing the functionality of the family. And then when there is control, everybody in the family wants a level of control, especially among the siblings. The parents are controlling the children according to their power and authority. And then the senior members in the family are also controlling the children or the other siblings in that order. It will not enhance free association in the family. And that a family of that type is dysfunctional. But in a family where there is freedom to act, but you respect and you know your limit, we say that that type of family is functional. All right. Now, when there is excessive criticism, it is like perfectionism. Whatever I do, my sibling, my parents will have a negative comment to make. Then I become too careful in doing what I am supposed to do. The children are too careful to make mistakes. And when they want to do everything perfect, when you are too careful, you make mistakes. And the family that creates that type of environment will not enhance good livelihood. And that family, we can say that it is dysfunctional. Now, I want us to do this exercise. We've discussed the characteristics of dysfunctional families. And I want you to pick any of these characteristics. think about it, and then you pair with a friend and you share your thoughts. Let's use about 2 minutes to do that. You take 1 minute to think, and then you pair and you share with your partner.
It also brings graphic and also fight among ourselves and will hatch grudges against ourselves.
All right, I can see a level of discussions going on. Can a pair volunteer to share with us what you have discussed? You thought through and you've shared your thoughts with your partner. All right.
Yeah, we looked at 2 issues. We looked at poor communication, and then also looked at drug or alcohol abuse. And we came to the point that if you look at the family, and if there is no active listening, parents cannot listen to the children, and vice versa. And even among the children and between the parents, there is no proper communication. It should give you a sign that the family is dysfunctional. And then we talked about drug abuse.
Good. Thank you so much. So let's make progress. Now let's look at the effect of dysfunctionality on the children in the family. We've been able to identify the characteristics. And when the family is dysfunctional, how are the children going to be affected? We can say that they would experience steady problems in the school because the home environment is not that conducive. As they will leave the home to the school, they are mentally not prepared. So whenever they sit in class, they may be there physically, but to concentrate and follow what is being taught will be a bit minimal. Why? Because the environment in the home is not good and it does not promote good learning. And then also we can see that there will be a drift into drug or alcohol abuse. We take, for instance, the parents are into drugs and the children are copying from these parents. The tendency for them to follow the footsteps of the parents are very high. So they would grow to be in that life. And then also they will be withdrawn and socially isolated. We've made mention of lack of communication or poor communication, which is a characteristic of dysfunctional family. So in a family where there is no effective integration, the social integration in the family is poor. When these children are growing, they grow to be isolated. When they get into a community of people, they are not able to join them and socialize effectively. And then also, we can think of the children feeling lonely and have difficulty expressing their feelings, especially in the family where there is perfectionism and criticism. I am not able to express myself in the home. Then when I am growing, I find it difficult also to express myself to another person, even a peer. And this is going to be a great effect on such a child, especially in the social sense. And then also there will be a risk of developing depression. I have issues disturbing me, issues bothering me. My parents are not having ears for me. My siblings are not having ears for me because the family is not functional and I am not able to express these things. It will eat me up. Then I will have to harbor this, nurture this. And when I harbor these sentiments and it grows, it is going to lead to a level of depression. So the children in such environment are going to have the risk of developing depression. Then low self-esteem. The child can grow better when the parents are seeing to all their physical and social needs. But here is the situation. My parents and my siblings are not ready to help me out. I am not able to be assertive, to live as I am supposed to be. And when it happens like that, I carry a kind of notion that I am not worth, I am not capable. Why? Because I have not been encouraged, motivated in the home. Then I will step out with that same mentality and I'll think low of myself and I'm not able to live as expected of me. And I'll be anxious all the time, almost always thinking that something terrible, something horrible is awaiting me and I'm not able to stand it because I don't have that internal strength. Then there's a likelihood that the children will suffer internally from self-rejection and self-criticism. Now, with this, I want us to do an exercise. We've listed a number of effects that the children can go through. I want you to pick any 5 and you arrange it in the order of severity. And let's see how best out of this we can help the parents to get out of dysfunctionality in their families, or the whole family can be, how the whole family can be healed. So can anybody list his 5 on the board for us? Very good. Come and help us. Thank you. Now we're going to look at how we can help families, steps that can bring the possible change. Because per our discussions, we've seen what a dysfunctional family is and a functional family. And we've also seen the characteristics and also the causes and the effect on the children. Now, how can the children be helped? or the family be helped to get out of this dysfunctionality? From what we have learned, that is what we want to look at the reverse, which is going to help. Because we defined the dysfunctional family that when there is an internal factors like sibling rivalry and parent-child violence or conflict, and when there is domestic violence and mental illness. So one way we can help parents out, that if the parents are not able to live well with the children per the standard that will enhance the child socially, he is not likely to make the family functional. Therefore, we expect the parents to know the standards which is normal and approved, even for the better livelihood of the child. And also we realize that poor communication as part of the characteristics. Therefore, there is the need to take the parents through proper communication, training for effective and proper communication. And we came also across the family dysfunction and its effect on the child. When the parents are being exposed or being made aware that the better future of the child depends on how he is brought up and the environment at which he is brought up. Therefore, there is the need to enhance good environment. And when he steps out of the home, he steps out with confidence and is able to be assertive in whatever he does. When the family or the parents are exposed to these things, then they are able to make their families functional. And then the children will not also be affected in the negative sense. And bringing our discussions to a close, I want us to recap what we have discussed this evening. We have seen the definition of a dysfunctional family. And we are saying that there are internal factors and there are also the external factors. And we have also seen the causes of dysfunctional families. And we've also identified the characteristics of a dysfunctional family and the effect of dysfunctional family on the children. And we've also discussed steps by which we can get out or help the parents to get out of dysfunctional family. Thank you for your attention. Good night.
Thank you.